The biggest news across the entire world, obviously, thus we need to talk about it, despite me not thinking or wanting or believing this would be what we're talking about on this January 20th, 2025. But Donald Trump has become the president of the United States once again. After all he did to, after all we lived through in America and to America, he is now taking the oath of office again. If you were watching this live, a few interesting tidbits, so do stick with us. But if you weren't, this will be the moment where you quickly get the recap without having to watch every single moment drawn out as this takes place live. Obviously, we'll have lots of news throughout the day as he signs a bunch of executive orders and does his first day sort of stuff. Here is the moment where he took the oath of office.
Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
And we will get to the actual speech that he delivered, which got rather disturbing. But first, on a lighter note, here is him greeting Melania. Didn't go particularly well. A reminder that we have a long 4 years ahead of us. If you want to join this community, be a part of this online space, you can do so by clicking that subscribe button. Here's Trump trying to kiss Melania, but she has sort of a guard on her head. Can't blame him for trying. Then we charge forward from there and get to Vance's oath of office, just the ending.
Enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
And that part ends with, of course, so help me God, he is now the vice president. And then we get into Trump's speech. And because I want this to be as, the phrase I've been using is emotionally regulated, first of all, we will switch from more lighthearted things, but then we do have to address the much darker parts. One of the characteristics of the speech, you know how people called his first one American Carnage. This one, there was elements of that, but also different than inauguration addresses usually, that yes, talk about the problems that need to be addressed, but also emphasize unity and the future. And Trump was doing a lot of bashing the people sitting right behind him, which I'd say, at the very least, is in bad taste, especially because it's wrapped up with a bunch of dishonesty. So if you thought, as people have written in the show, give Trump a chance, you don't know what he's going to do. Well, his inauguration address very quickly taught us that maybe my assumptions about this upcoming presidency that now we're in were correct. But first, here is him. You know, I was laying in bed last night and I was thinking, if there's one thing I need my president to do, it's bring back gender.
As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
I mean, we've waited a long time for this. Finally, male and female are back. One other less negative moment, kind of the beginning, so that we give an honest breakdown of the clips. Then we'll talk about what is so destructive about this speech. But here's him saying, the golden age of America has begun because now I'm president and everything that's good is now good. And I'm going to take credit for it.
The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a big part of the MAGA ideology right now, which says if you don't win, then America's terrible. If you do win, then all of a sudden it's good the second that your guy's in, right? You can respect and be dedicated to the tenets of American ideals that contribute to your patriotism throughout different administrations, unless your patriotism is defined by its loyalty to one person, right? Well, then it's all about that person, not the foundational stuff. Okay. Here, he decided, hey, you know how I've been lying about how I was wrongly targeted by the justice system and all these things by the Biden administration have been weaponized against conservatives? Let's throw that into the speech. Why not?
Our sovereignty will be reclaimed. Our safety will be restored. The scales of justice will be rebalanced. The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and our government will end.
And out of context, you might think, well, I mean, there's definitely been weaponization throughout our history of the Justice Department. Maybe he's trying to right those wrongs. Now, he's talking about himself. We know. We've watched enough of these speeches to know that. I say again, as I did yesterday, I don't want to just stick on this for too long because all of us will pass out from stress or something. But this globally, yes, it's disturbing. It's humiliating. After what the world observed, after what we observed Trump do, even just the way he left office. He wasn't at Biden's inauguration. Why? Because he had just staged a coup. That's why. And so don't be distracted by the pomp and circumstance, by the pageantry, into forgetting that. It's not that there isn't hope. There is. Always. But it's that this, however many times they do standing ovations, is a representation of a truly broken, a truly tragic state in American history. And no matter what he said at this speech, that would probably be true. And I'd probably be left disturbed by just the very fact that he's standing up, taking the oath of office, now the sitting president of the United States. But the content of it also contributed. Here's more.
The United States will once again consider itself a growing nation, one that increases our wealth, expands our territory, builds our cities, raises our expectations, and carries our flag into new and beautiful horizons. And we will pursue our manifest destiny into the stars, launching American astronauts to plant the stars and stripes on the planet Mars.
All right. Fine. He did mention the expansion of territory in this speech. I don't have a clip, but he did the Panama Canal bit. Again, we've been hearing the Greenland potential military invasion. Oh, look, he didn't mean that. Well, he got asked about it. He's the president, and he said, nah, we might use the military. You never know. Then, as we hear about reports of the mass deportation starting very soon, as I've now repeated multiple times, there have always been, and there are plenty of justified deportations and a legal mechanism the government has the power to use. What Trump's planning is a scale and speed and approach that will certainly, if he accomplishes it, or he'll fail to accomplish what he says he's going to, cause an economic spiral and a humanitarian crisis, given the way that they're going to try to, and the number of people they're going to try to deport, will surely cause humanitarian violations, as we've talked about in more specifics in the past. You have him launching that here.
Executive orders. With these actions, we will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense. It's all about common sense. First, I will declare a national emergency at our southern border. All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
And we will be following that, apparently starting very soon, very closely. And maybe my proclamations of this will turn out to be wrong. But again, it's tough to assume that when there's two things I've predicted, he either doesn't do the full extent of some of these plans economically or with deportations, and then the outcome thus isn't as severe as predicted. But that would be him not following through on what he said he's going to do. Or he goes through with it and it's as tragic as we predicted. He also made this claim.
Over the past 8 years, I have been tested and challenged more than any president in our 250-year history, and I've learned a lot along the way. The journey to reclaim our republic has not been an easy one, that I can tell you. Those who wish to stop our cause have tried to take my freedom and indeed to take my life. Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason.
And once again, grouping in the attempted assassin who we all oppose with prosecutors, as Trump said, trying to take his freedom, trying to hold him accountable for the aforementioned coup attempt, for the classified document stuff, etc. And the grouping in is dangerous and what it is attempting to depict the other side is. And he can't help himself but cry victim with the justice system things, as he's already won. You won, dude. Now you get those cases dropped. Justice isn't served. And that's terrible. But for you, it's great. But he can't help himself. He's been dreaming of having Democrats sit behind him as he continues to perpetuate the lies that apparently too many Americans didn't really care about holding him accountable for. Then just to note, in case anyone's misunderstanding me, there's no dispute that someone tried to take his life, two people, and that is absolutely terrible. That connection, though, to his prosecutorial lies should be noted. He made this proclamation again.
A short time from now, we are going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and we will restore the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley, where it should be and where it belongs.
I'll just say to the supporters of Trump out there, just be on the lookout. Just see if he does the things that you especially economically thought he was going to do, or try to keep your attention with big symbolic gestures like this that probably won't even happen. Just think about it, I beg you. He did talk a lot about, too, as you can imagine, America's decline and all the stuff attacking Biden, as Biden has done everything to hand Trump a much better situation than Trump handed him. We have been ascendant, not in decline, since Biden took over after inheriting the disaster that, like I said, Trump gave to him. But still, Trump can't get out of campaign mode. He also did this.
Including the Panama Canal, which has foolishly been given to the country of Panama after the United States. The United States, I mean, think of this,
just really think of it. Can you imagine? He doubled down on this.
Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens.
Someone explain to me how we tax foreign countries. I'm waiting to figure it out through tariffs. How do we do it? Because from my understanding and from the concept of tariffs, it's U.S. companies that are being taxed, but maybe Trump has a magic new way to do it. No, he doesn't. By the way, I saw this clip going around. What's going on with Elon?
The Bible that was given to her husband by his mother, and the one that was used by...
Is he okay? Someone check in on Elon. That's concerning. So yes, a disturbing moment. And he did talk about, but I don't think it's that important, the External Revenue Service is going to go collect the tariffs from other countries and all these different things. And it's going to be great, like the IRS, but for other countries. And it's a horrifying moment that this has happened. It's horrifying that he chose to say the things that he did in many cases. Some, they're uncontroversial. We're going to do amazing things, Americans, and we all are going to unite, right? Okay. But in some of the more notable parts, some frightening language and a frightening agenda being laid out. Now it is our job to follow each of these things one by one and then try to tell people about the facts of them. Because as they happen, let's say Trump actually does the tariff plan, actually does the deportation plan, actually invades Greenland, okay? That one I don't think he's going to do. But the first two, actually starts going after, to add to the list, media outlets that he doesn't like, actually tries to punish his political critics. It is our job to not do what the Zuckerbergs are doing, the Bezoses are doing, too many media figures are doing, and bend the knee and lick the rear end of Trump. That's not the phrase, is it? Lick the boots or kiss the rear end, not lick the rear end. I apologize. We can't do that. We have to be the ones desperately trying to inform people and then act accordingly about the facts of this presidency. And we can do it with our head held high. I promise. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. If you want to, I mentioned earlier, subscribe being the sort of stage one of being a part of the community. If you want to go even further and get members only content, you can do so by clicking the join button below. Here we go.